Tonight is a continuation of the story of the white snake. We will be reading parts 7, 8, and 9. Part 7. Shu Shen's Doubts. The elixir from Kunlun Mountain was truly miraculous. When Bai Sucin put it in Shu Shen's mouth, his heart immediately started beating, and he began breathing again. Although Shu Shen didn't wake up, he slept peacefully for a whole day. The next day he awoke as from a nightmare. He remembered having a bad dream, something about a snake. He looked around. Everything seemed so peaceful and normal, and Bai Sucin was sleeping next to him as usual. Strange, such a terrible dream, but Shu Shen was very uneasy and decided to avoid his wife. That day he worked like a slave in the pharmacy. When night fell, he told Bai Sucin that there was too much work to be done and that he would sleep in his study. Bai Sucin and Xiaoqin knew that this was an excuse, but what could they say? Day after day passed, and Shu Shen never returned upstairs. After about a week, Bai Sucin felt that something had to be done. She prepared food and wine and asked Xiaoqin to invite Shu Shen upstairs. "Tell your mistress that I'm very busy. I don't have time to eat," Shu Shen told Xiaoqin in an icy tone. "Mistress has gone to a lot of trouble preparing a feast for you," said Xiaoqin, a bit angrily. "You haven't come upstairs for a week. Are you really that busy?" Shu Shen's face turned red. He knew he looked like he was lying. He couldn't very well refuse without causing a scene. Xiaoqin finally got him upstairs. Everything seemed back to normal. Bai Sucin drank wine and talked. "Sucin, you shouldn't drink so much," Shu Shen said fearfully. "Why not?" "You know I can handle it," said Bai Sucin laughingly. "But the day of the Dragon Boat Festival." "Oh, that day I wasn't feeling well, so I couldn't drink much with you. Are you still angry about that?" Bai Sucin joked. Behind Shu Shen's back, Xiaoqin threw a white ribbon out of the window into the yard. She uttered a magic formula, and the ribbon turned into a big white snake. "Snake! Snake!" Xiaoqin screamed, pretending to be scared. "Where?" Shu Shen ran to the window. "That's it! That's the snake that lay in your bed on the day of the Dragon Boat Festival," said Shu Shen. "Kill it! Hurry up and kill it!" cried Xiaoqin. "Don't harm it," said Bai Sucin calmly. "It could be a dragon in disguise. The ancient books say that in the sky, dragons have a dragon shape. When they come to Earth, they assume the form of a snake. Think about it. A snake this size should be in a mountain cave. How could it have gotten to Zhenjiang, a big city? It's probably a dragon that likes our house and has decided to live here. The next thunderstorm, it will fly back into the sky." Bai Sucin didn't want the snake to be killed because it would turn back into a ribbon. So she pretended to have read this in an ancient books. Shu Shen was not very well read. He wasn't clear about what the ancient books say, but he remembered hearing of dragons and snakes as a boy, and what he heard agreed with Bai Sucin's theory. A sense of relief flooded through Shu Shen. He really wanted to believe her. "You're right, wife. You're entirely right," he agreed. "It has already lived in our house for many days," continued Bai Sucin. "On the day of the Dragon Boat Festival, it came into my room. I was scared to death and immediately ran downstairs to find someone." "Oh, so that's what happened. I saw it lying on your bed. I thought that—" Shu Shen was very embarrassed. "It's all that monk's lies. He's contemptible." Shu Shen blamed Fa Hai. "What monk?" asked Bai Sucin and Xiaoqin simultaneously. "The old monk that came to the pharmacy a few days ago from Gold Mountain Monastery. He's the abbot. He told me you were an evil spirit, wife," Shu Shen said. Bai Sucin lowered her head and didn't speak. Tears fell down her cheeks. Shu Shen was miserable for doubting her. He should have trusted her. Who was Fa Hai anyway? He didn't know him, whereas Bai Sucin was the woman he loved. She looked more beautiful than ever to him. He had almost lost her through his foolish doubts. I'm so stupid. How could I accuse my own wife of being an evil monster? Wife, please don't be angry. This is all that mangy monk's fault. I'll never see him again, swore Shushen. Thus, peace was restored in their home. Part 8. Gold Mountain Monastery. In no time, autumn had arrived. One day, Shushen had business that took him to an area near Gold Mountain Monastery. After his meeting, he wandered around. Near the mighty Yangtze River, the wild grass had turned yellow. Far away, Gold Mountain was covered with trees whose leaves had turned yellow and crimson. Nearby, the red rooftops on many houses were visible. Long time no see, young master. Do you have time to visit our monastery today? Shushen turned around to see Fa-hai standing behind him. It is very close, said Fa-hai, pointing to the rooftops. Maybe another time. I can't go today, replied Shushen distrustfully. Gold Mountain Monastery is the biggest monastery in this region of China. Why not go take a look, said Fa-hai. He's right. Gold Mountain Monastery is so famous. Why shouldn't I just go take a look? It couldn't do any harm. Fa-hai is being so friendly. If I don't go, I'm sure to offend him, thought Shushen to himself. Well, all right, but I can't stay long, said Shushen. Gold Mountain Monastery was truly huge. Its high surrounding walls enclosed countless houses. Without a guide, a visitor would never be able to find the way out. Fa-hai was extremely amiable and invited Shushen for teas and snacks. Eventually, the conversation turned to Bai Sucin, the subject closest to both their hearts. Young master, didn't the events on the day of the Dragon Boat Festival prove that I was right? Oh, that day I was scared almost to death, said Shushen. You now know that she's an evil monster. Why do you still live with her? Asked Fa-hai. Monster? No, you're mistaken. Shushen didn't want to talk about it. The snake you saw that day was her. She's a snake spirit. Even her servant girl is. You're wrong. It was a dragon, like the ancient books say, said Shushen, thinking of Bai Sucin's words. Master, your love blinds you. Dragons live in the sky or ocean. They don't live around here. That day, because your wife drank Shunhuang wine, she transformed into her original shape. Men and spirits should not live together. I don't believe you. Sucin and Shaoqin have been very good to me. They've never done me any harm. How could they be evil monsters? Maybe what you say has been true so far, but it's hard to know what they'll do in the future. Spirits and men don't think the same. What if they get angry with you someday? Shushen was very troubled, and didn't say anything for a long time. What do you think I should do? He finally asked. Stay here for a while. We can protect you, suggested Fa-hai. Shushen was very unhappy, but because he was afraid too, he took the monk's advice. After all, he reasoned, it couldn't hurt. That night, Shushen didn't return home. 3 days passed in this way. Bai Sucin was frantic, and sent the pharmacy clerks everywhere to ask for news of Shushen. Finally, a clerk returned and told them that people had seen Shushen with a monk, and they had walked toward Gold Mountain Monastery together. Gold Mountain Monastery? Bai Sucin and Shaoqin exclaimed together. That meddling monk, Fa-hai must have lured him, said Bai Sucin to Shaoqin. But master said he wouldn't talk to that monk again, said Shaoqin angrily. We'll go to Gold Mountain Monastery to find him, decided Bai Sucin. What if Fa-hai won't let master go? Asked Shaoqin. Then I'll kill Fa-hai, said Bai Sucin with determination. I'll kill all the monks in Gold Mountain Monastery if I have to. Good. We'll kill Shushen too, and then return to Omei Mountain, said Shaoqin heavily. She felt that this was the solution to all their problems. No! My husband is a good man, said Bai Sucin. She still loved Shushen deeply. Mistress, stop deluding yourself, replied Shaoqin, exasperated. He's cowardly and untrustworthy. He doesn't deserve your love. Why should we give up our chance at achieving godhood for him? You treat him so well, but I'm pregnant, and a child needs a father, Bai Sucin confided to Xiaoqin, who immediately changed her mind at this news. Then let's leave immediately, she replied. Part 9. The Battle at Gold Mountain Monastery. Gold Mountain Monastery was normally very busy, with thousands of worshippers visiting every day. This morning 2 new visitors arrived, a woman in white and her maid in green. Both were armed with swords and demanded to see Fa Hai. But the monks were also prepared, and they drove the worshippers away. Tension was heavy in the silent air. "The monastery welcomes you," said a monk, motioning the women in. When they entered, they encountered Fa Hai with his staff, surrounded by armed monks. "Fa Hai, where have you hidden my husband?" asked Bai Sucin menacingly. "Shu Shen is here, but he doesn't want to return with you," replied Fa Hai calmly. "I don't believe you. Let him come out here and tell me to himself. No. Men and spirits should not mix. He doesn't see you for what you are. You should both return to Ome Mountain immediately." "That's nobody's business but our own. You can't control us," Bai Sucin said angrily. She and Xiaoqin drew their swords and advanced. "This is Gold Mountain Monastery. How dare you show such contempt?" Fa Hai raised his staff to parry their swords. On all sides the monks drew their weapons, and a great battle began. Bai Sucin and Xiaoqin had studied swordsmanship, and even though they were outnumbered, they were unafraid. Suddenly, Fa Hai hit Bai Sucin's sword with his staff, and the staff broke. The monk hadn't expected Bai Sucin's abilities to be so formidable. He quickly retreated. Bai Sucin would have followed him, but battling monks surrounded her on all sides. "Let's go!" yelled Xiaoqin above the din of the battle. "They are too many. We must retreat and think of a plan." "But I must find my husband," shouted Bai Sucin, unwilling to relent. "With this many houses and this many monks, where are we going to look?" Xiaoqin shouted back. Bai Sucin realized she had no plan, no idea, so she joined Xiaoqin in flight to the Yangtze River, where they could think of a plan. "How are we to battle so many monks?" Xiaoqin asked breathlessly when they got there. She wanted to go home. "We can't just give up," disagreed Bai Sucin. "If we could find some troops to help us," said Xiaoqin, thinking hard. "Wait! That's it! The water spirits of the Yangtze!" Bai Sucin was staring at the mighty river. "They could help us." She muttered some magic words, and the water started bubbling, as if in a great cauldron. Soon, countless water spirits came in reply to her summons. Huge fish, shrimp, crab, shellfish, turtle, and eel spirits surfaced. They all listened to Bai Sucin's request. But many were unable to leave the water, and couldn't ascend Gold Mountain. "Fine, then I'll bring the waters of the Yangtze to the monastery doors." Bai Sucin intoned another magic formula, and the waters of the Yangtze began to rise in huge waves. Wave upon wave, until they reached the gates of the Gold Mountain Monastery, and beat down the great doors. The mighty water spirits swarmed into the monastery, weapons raised. They fell upon the monks under Bai Sucin's orders. Crab generals and shrimp commanders led the attack. The water spirits were also trained in warfare, and practiced frequently. The victors often devoured their defeated opponents. The monks were clearly outclassed, and the battle turned quickly. But just when the monks were on the verge of defeat, Bai Sucin fainted, suddenly very ill because of her pregnancy. Without her as their general, chaos immediately began in the ranks of their water spirits. The monks rallied for a counterattack, and the unorganized troops of water spirits began to suffer defeat after defeat. The waters on Gold Mountain retreated back to the Yangtze as the water spirits fled in all directions. Shao Qin, protecting the unconscious Bai Sucin, also retreated until once again they reached the shores of the river. Where should we go? Shao Qin asked herself. We can't go back to Jinjiang, where that monk will find us. Let us go to Hangzhou. That was the end of part 9. We'll continue with parts 10 and 11 and 12 on another night. Thank you for listening. Good night, everybody.